Hey, I want to respond to some of the dumb comments that I get here. And I'm only going to respond to the dumb questions, not the filthy, vile remarks that many of you low-life pieces of garbage routinely throw around. That's the thing about the internet. It's easy to hide behind anonymity. You send somebody an email, or you write a comment on a blog using some made-up pseudonym. That's really brave. Now, the dumb comments, and the vile ones too, come from the Austrian hard money types and the Schiff followers who probably have a combined IQ of 40. But I digress. Anyway, that's not news. Everybody knows that. So, no big revelation there. Also, there's an old saying that says you could judge a person by the company he keeps. So I need not say more. Anyway, most of the comments go like this. Norman, what a clown you are. The government has no money. That's why it sells bonds. We have to borrow it from China. We're broke. Okay, well, what are we lending the government? Dollars? And how do we buy those bonds anyway? How do you buy them? You buy them with what? With dollars? Where do you get the dollars from? From the Chinese dollar factory? Come on, this is just stupidity. If you're too dumb to understand this, then go back to kindergarten. Or people say, yeah, okay, sure, we could print that money. Then the dollar goes to zero, or we become the Weimar Republic or Zimbabwe. Wrong again. When the government spends, the economy gets bigger, and a larger economy means more income and profits, and of course, those things are taxed, and since the government collects more taxes in a larger economy, and it was made larger by that very spending, the dollar doesn't go down because it's in demand for the payment of those taxes. And by the way, that printing of money, it also doesn't translate into inflation because, and I've been over this a lot recently, as the quantity of goods and services increases, you have a greater supply of stuff that matches the greater quantity of money. And sometimes you even have more stuff than money, so the price can actually go down. And also, there are times when people just don't spend that much, like now. And if they're not spending, the price doesn't go up. It goes down. And by the way, the value of the dollar hasn't gone down. If you just go back and you look at the dollar index since 2008, it was at 71. And today, where is it? It's at 80. So the dollar didn't go down. Okay, here's another comment, and it usually is about savings and investment. And they say, well, we can't have investment because we don't have savings. Well, actually, Keynes already proved that it was the other way around. But as an exercise, let's just walk through it. First of all, just to let you know that accounting identity that describes the relationship between savings and investment, it's written as S equals I. There's an equal sign in between those two things. So it doesn't tell you anything beyond the fact that for any level of savings, it's equal to the same level of investment, ultimately anyway. It's like saying, here's a pile of sand and here's a hole. Did the sand come from digging the hole, or is the hole about to be filled in by the sand? The volume of the sand equals the volume of the hole. Whoop-de-doo. That's all it says. It doesn't say you have to have savings first. And by the way, how do you get financial savings? Where do they come from? Some of you think they come, mysteriously from under-consuming, right? We hear people say, oh yeah, people have to under-consume to increase their savings. But my under-consumption is somebody else's reduction in income and savings. It's the old Keynes paradox of thrift. As an individual, I can increase my saving by consuming less or trying to earn more. But if we all do that collectively, savings and incomes go down. In the private economy, there can be no net increase in financial savings. It all nets out to zero. In other words, my savings equates to somebody's reduction in savings. My increase in income equates to somebody else's spending of that income. All right? The only way for the private sector to increase its net financial or money savings is for the government to spend more than it takes away from us in taxes. That's called running a deficit, and that's the only possible way for the private sector to increase its net financial savings. And please, you know what? You can stop already with the Zimbabwe and the Weimar examples. You know, it's really idiotic. Zimbabwe had like 80% of its productive capacity wiped out because of corruption and civil war, and its debts were also denominated in other currencies like the dollar. And similarly for Weimar, where its debts were denominated in sterling and large parts of its industrial capacity were rendered useless because other nations essentially controlled its output. So the more either of those countries printed money, it was not being offset with an increase in supply of goods and services. That's what caused inflation to blow out of control. We don't have that here. Now, there are people who say, well, the government can't really print money. It's the Fed that can only print money. Well, let me settle something once and for all. The Fed is the government. It may operate independently, but it's part of the government. And don't give me this stupid line like the Fed is a private corporation and all that stuff, because it's just wrong. Yes, the 12 regional Federal Reserve banks are organized similar to private corporations, but they're not operated for profit. In fact, the Fed is required by law to turn all its profits over to the Treasury. That's us, we the people. I ask you, what private corporation, and particularly what all-powerful corporation that's not accountable to anyone, like you Fed haters always say, is required to do that? And by the way, Congress can change the Fed's mission or mandate at any time a change in what the Fed, or take it away. It could eliminate the Fed if it wanted to. And the Fed's Board of Governors are nominated and approved by the President and Congress. So all these comments based on these ideas are just sheer stupidity. When you write them, you're just displaying your ignorance like some primitive idiot. But they are funny, and as you know, I really do like good comedy. Anyway, that's it for now. Keep the comedy coming, folks. This is Mike Norman saying, see you next time. Bye-bye.